Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Restituto. I'm a musician from Northport, New York, and today we're reacting to and breaking down and talking about Olivia Rodrigo on songwriting. So somebody recommended this. We're gonna talk about she's gonna talk about songwriting and her new song Deja Vu. And as a songwriter myself, which has 90 songs out there, something ridiculous like that, I love hearing other artists break down their songs and talk about their songs and stuff. So I'm gonna hopefully add a little bit more insight onto what she's talking about. Hopefully break it down just a little bit more. If you're into this kind of stuff, definitely consider checking out my music and the Patreons if you want full album reactions, and if you want to if you want to release your own music, just like I release my music and Olivia releases her music. Sorry, that circling thing was driving me insane. If you want to release your music, just like we release our own music, definitely consider checking out DistroKid, where you can save 7% on your first year subscription. Put your music on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, TikTok, all the great platforms, including IG Stories. And in fact, I actually just got paid from TikTok because my song was being used on TikTok. So now I'm getting paid through DistroKid, 100% of the royalties through TikTok. So link in description, save 7% on your first year. This is Olivia.
First realized songwriting was like sort of viable option for my life when I got to write a song called All I Want for High School Musical, the series.
Dude, that looks very awkward. Like, she looks very short in that photo. That's very strange.
Before that, I sort of just kept my songs to myself and like played them for my mom and my friends. But that was sort of the first experience where I wrote something that people like really believed in, that I believed in, and kind of got heard by a lot of people. So it gave me a lot of confidence. Driver's License coming out has sort of immensely affected my songwriting process and my music, you know, making.
Dude, for MTV, listen to the audio. It's like chopping and loud and quiet. It's very interesting how
I guess, but
how they recorded
I thought actually when it came,
like, I'm looking at my levels and it's like up and down. It's hard to manage it.
You know, started getting to be really successful.
But it's strange,
I
it's
thought
MTV.
that I was gonna get in my head about my writing and be like, oh, I'm never gonna write anything as good as Driver's License, and like fret about everything.
See, that's really interesting that she says that, because a lot of artists say that the sophomore album is the hardest album ever, because the first album after, let me rephrase it, the sophomore album after success. So you could put out 1,000 albums, and then the one that has success, that one after that is the hardest one apparently to write, because you're like, okay, how am I going to match that? And there's so much pressure to make something just as good as that massive. I mean, compared to her, oh my gosh! Like, imagine your first like actual single that you release into the world is a massive, insane hit, like just the #1 song in the world. Like, how do you match that? Everything else, like, unless you have the right mentality, everything else is is not as good. You know, it's crazy.
But I actually.
You can change your mentality and be grateful for the fact that you were able to become in the industry, and the fact that if it happened once, why can't it happen again?
I think it gave me a lot of confidence in my voice and in what makes my songwriting special, which I feel like is my vulnerability and honesty. And so kind of learning that that's what people resonated with kind of helps me with writing all of my other music. Hey, I'm Olivia Rodrigo, and these are my top 5 songwriting tips.
Oh, sick.
My first tip, which I think is the most important one, is listen to music like a songwriter. I have grown exponentially from doing this. I think it is the best way to grow as an artist in any way, is to draw on inspiration from people that you look up to. I literally will
I couldn't agree more, man. There are so many times where I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant lyric. And then I think of that, and I'm like, I could relate that to my life. And I kind of steal their lyric, borrow their lyric, and turn it into my own thing and make it my own kind of song, my own. I change the melody, change the words, but take that idea. You know, I've written so. I think I would probably say at least 40% of the songs, or at least lyrics I've written, not necessarily whole songs, but 40% of the ideas that sparked into whole songs came while listening to other songs. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's cool how they did that. I've never thought about that. For example, my song, I will be here till the day that I die, when the party's over. It actually came from the National, which is a band, and they had the song. So they were talking something about the 4th of July, and the original lyric was, "I will be here like the 5th of July," saying, "When the party's over and all our friends have gone, I'll still be here," kind of thing. But the idea came from them talking something about the 4th of July. I don't remember what it was. I should probably go and look, because that'd be a cool reference note. But you always have to listen as a songwriter.
Like, listen to music that my idol made, watch all of their interviews, and then go back
100%.
and be like, okay, I'm gonna like try to write a song like as if they were writing this song. And it just like completely like broadens your horizons.
Oh, that's interesting. So I do that in the sense of I listen to all their music, I watch all their interviews. I've never tried to write something like they would write something. That's actually very interesting.
And helps make your music just like that much better.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with the way that Taylor paints pictures, and her imagery is fantastic, and her storytelling
She's a great
is
storyteller.
just like insane. So I don't think I'm as good of a storyteller as she is yet, but I always try to like put aspects of that sort of narrative, singer-songwritery type lyricism in my songs. I think Lorde really teaches me a lot about like production and like actual music. I think she always makes such interesting choices, and so I try to do that. And also she's a brilliant lyricist as well, and she's super poetic.
Whatever happened to Lorde? Like, she was huge, and then I don't hear much about her
And
anymore.
you can tell that like lots of her songs started out as poetry, and so some of my songs start out that way too when I try to emulate her. Also a big like lyrical inspiration for me is Phoebe Bridgers. She's just like so like brutally honest and says stuff that you like wouldn't think of being in a song, and I think that's impactful and beautiful, and so I sort of try to do that as well.
How long until like Phoebe Bridgers and her do a song together, right?
Another songwriting tip that I have is finished is sometimes better than perfect. I can't say
Couldn't agree more.
how many times I've like sat at a piano and like been writing a song and been like, this is terrible, I should just quit, like this is so bad. But I like force myself to finish it, or at least like finish the idea or whatever, or like finish the verse and chorus. And lots of the times I come back and I'm like, oh wait, that was actually like great. Like I was getting like really in my head about it. And so you're never gonna learn from something if you just like throw it away the second you think it's not good, and you're never gonna learn how to like craft something good.
Bro, at 18 years old, she knows some stuff, man. Good for her. She's on a good path, because that's so totally true. That's probably the most important thing. Outside of even songwriting, as a musician, is finish it rather than making it perfect. Just put as much as you can out, because you learn as like. Part of the reason that I put out so much stuff is because I like tasting different things. I like trying different kinds of songs, different production styles, different options. And two, you learn as you continue to make these new songs, as opposed to just perfecting one thing, because you learn using different instruments, different effects. And three, you expand your horizon. But like, you get feedback, and that's a brilliant thing, because like there's so many unfinished. I think hits. There are so many unfinished hits that could have been a hit, but the person didn't think in their own head that it was a hit, and therefore they didn't release it. But quality is subjective of what you might not like. You know how often somebody says to me, "Oh my gosh, this song is my favorite song of yours." I'm like, yo, I hate that song of mine. And it's like they like it. I don't, but they do. You know what I mean? So like, who am I to judge what you're gonna like? You know what I mean? So just put out. That's why I put out everything. You know.
If you just like are waiting for like just like lock in a bolt of inspiration to strike you. Number 3, I think this sort of goes along with number 2 a little bit. Really like showing up for your creativity, and not just waiting for like a lightning bolt idea or like something to inspire you. I think sometimes you just have to work and write and create even when you don't feel particularly inspired, because I think when you continuously show up, you like show the universe that you are capable of bringing this idea to life.
You know what? And that's true of my song, More Than I Realized. That song, I called last night, you answered with goodbye. That whole thing came out of me sitting down and forcing myself to write. I wasn't feeling inspired. I was just like, I need to write music. So I forced myself to sit down. I've also been getting a lot. It's funny. I guess because I've been doing more of the reacting to your songs kind of stuff, that I have been getting a lot more like requests for people to help them songwrite, which I'm incredibly honored by. Like the fact that people care about my opinion. But I think that it kind of defeats the purpose, because I think that they're like, oh, I'm a terrible songwriter, I need your help. It's like, that's kind of the point, though. It's like you start off as a terrible, and the only way you get better, like I'm absolutely willing to give feedback and stuff, and I'm honored that you even ask. And don't stop asking. Like, I'll do what I can to help. But it's like part of the process is you learn from those mistakes. Like, you can't just be like kind of like, oh, this is this perfect song, here you go. It's like, no, like you gotta write the bad songs in order to know what's a bad song. And you know what? Some of my earliest songs are some of my favorite songs, and some of people's favorite songs. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people liked my song growing up, and that was one of the first songs I ever released. Not one of the first ones I wrote, but one of the first I released. And it's just sometimes you strike gold early on. So don't judge yourself just because you started off early.
And manifesting it in the way that it's supposed to be manifested, and like spiritual in that way, where I think that like the universe like pays attention to that and then will give you better ideas. So and that was sort of the exercise that I did over quarantine, is I like forced myself to write a song. Not force myself, that sounds sad and scary, but like I sat down at the piano and was like, okay, I'm gonna write a song every day of quarantine, and I feel like that made me a much better songwriter. And I think some of the ideas,
that was a driver's license, I remember that.
Yes, I wouldn't have gotten to jot down if I didn't make myself do that every day. So I think showing up is really important. It's more important than being talented or good at anything. Like, 'cause you can
Oh, that is 100% true. The people that put in the work go farther than the people that are naturally talented. That's so
Super
true.
talented.
She's mad full of wisdom.
Important. It's more important than being talented or good at anything. Like, 'cause you can be super talented, but if you don't show up, what's the point? All right, fourth tip is to write songs for yourself, and because you love it and you like to do it. The second that you sort of start writing a song with the intention of it being liked by other people, it loses its magic. At least for me, like if I ever like go on like Twitter or like whatever, or like look at people like consuming my song or, you know, criticizing it or whatever, and then I take that with me in my writing and I'm like, oh wait, but people won't like this if I do this, or like, oh, I have to do this if people like it. It just absolutely like ruins it. And I think you
just gotta be yourself, man.
Have to be true to you when you're like writing all of that stuff, and try to stay out of your head and do it because you love it. Don't do it for, you know, other people. Those are the best types of songs. It's actually super, super cool to see people relate to my songs. For a while I felt like I was like kind of weirded out because I was like, oh, I kind of have this like really weird life. Like I've been homeschooled since I was in 7th grade. I'm on a set all day with like a bunch of like 45-year-old dudes. Like, is what I say going to resonate with other people my age? And so putting on driver's license and seeing people of actually all ages, male, female, everyone, sort of being like, whoa, like that took me back to a time where I was feeling like that, or oh, I'm feeling like that right now, this helps me so much. Like that was so cool to me to realize that, you know, honesty is always relatable and you don't have to like
mad true.
Try to relate.
That should be a brand, man. That's crazy. Honesty is always relatable.
To like large audiences, you just have to tell your story because, you know, humans are all so much more alike than we are different, and we're all feeling so much of the same things that we just don't talk about. The last songwriting tip I have is to read poetry, as much poetry as you can. I feel like that's really informs my lyricism. I think I have to start a song with a lyrical concept or idea. I'm like a very lyric, narrative, story-based songwriter, and everything else kind of is secondary to that. So in order to write a song that I like, it has to be either a poem that I like or like a concept or like a play on words that I can sort of go from. The hook of Deja Vu is when she's with you, do you get deja vu? And it's this sort of concept that I am really obsessed with, and I think something that my friends and I were going through, where it's like sometimes when you break up with someone and they get with somebody else, it sort of feels like everything that they're doing is recycled, which happens in every relationship, I think. And for the music video, we kind of didn't want it to be like super on the nose, like relationship-y. So I thought it would be really fun to do like a female stalker type music video, because I'm obsessed with Killing Eve. That's my favorite show of all time, and I was like, I want to do a music video like Killing Eve. And also I think it really ties into that like, do you get deja vu thing, because it's like these two girls like living really similar lives because they like want to be like each other. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making that music video. I think it's like a really kind of convoluted, weird, awesome music video. I think it's like perfectly creepy in the best way.
Very cool, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Okay, so today...
My bad. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, definitely let me know if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. She had some really good insights, and I think the best thing that you could take out of this is write as much as you can and put out as much as you can, because putting out gives feedback, so you get to like learn and experience what people like and what they don't like, and not that you're writing for other people, but like it helps you grow as an artist. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have not subscribed yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Peace out.